going on, guys? Welcome back to the Wave. We're back, and we're in the conference semifinals. Um, and it's game ones have not disappointed. I think these have been some of the most exciting playoff basketball series I've seen in quite a few years, and it's just really it's awesome to be covering it. The first game on the slate was the Indiana Pacers versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the NBA did it was a little finicky because this game was right before the game 7 of the Golden State Warriors, so it was I did get a chance to see it before the game 7s were officially over, but nonetheless, this was still a great game. We've seen again a lot of attack from the starting lineup. You got 23 from Nemhard, Halliburton with 22 and 13, Miles Turner 13 and 11. Just a great stat line. The starters for Indiana definitely came to play. They hit 50% of their three pointers, 52.8 to be exact, and yeah, it was just the Cavaliers could not knock down the 3-point shot that night. They went 9 for 38. Um, and it was definitely tough. Donovan Mitchell was the bright spot on that team, but even him taking 30 field goals for 33 points is inefficient shooting, 1 for 11. Um, Evan Mobley, he had 20. He started the game pretty well, but it just it was not enough from him alone. Ty Jerome with 21 off the bench was a good spark. Same thing with Hunter as well. But yeah, just that starting lineup just could not knock down any threes. I'm seeing they took over 20, 25 threes and maybe even 30 threes, and they just couldn't knock them down. In fact, yeah, they took about 29 threes. Um, yeah, not efficient shooting from the Cavaliers at all. Um, let's look at the turnover battle. Cavaliers had 7 to their 16, so it is actually, yeah, just not capitalizing on making shots. Definitely a great match. Indiana, I heard Greg Anthony say it, but they definitely are, excuse me, they definitely are underrated as a team. Um, and they definitely have a good roster. They're coached well, and um, I definitely had Cleveland in 6, and I still do. Um, but I just don't think Indiana should just be slept on in the series. They're a good team. Halliburton is definitely he was voted I don't know, unofficially the most overrated player. He's trying to put all that hoopla to bed, and it's just a great series overall. And a lot of matchups are definitely unfolding. Um, and yeah, my X factor for the series definitely Pascal Siakam again. Just it's going to be a little bit different with having to play these different forwards who are just like they have length and they aren't like they could score as well. So it's going to be a little bit different. But I also want to see a little bit more from Obi Toppin. He had 7 points off the bench, 50% shooting, which is good. 7 points, 5 rebounds. He's definitely going to be someone that's going to be seeing a little bit of an increase in his minutes as well. Um, Shout out to Matherin as well with 11 off the bench, three threes, some big ones too. So yeah, it was definitely a good match. And again, I still have Cleveland in 6, and we'll see how they adjust. And yeah, we'll definitely jump into our analysis in game 2. I will give a little bit of a spoiler because of the scheduling. I did get a chance to see game 2. No room reveals. We'll talk about game 2 in the game 2 video. Um, but my prediction still stands Cleveland in 6. Um, and yeah, let's jump over to the next game. Next on the slate was the New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics. Another great game, a classic, and definitely showing to be an entertaining series. I definitely want to start with that. OG Anunoby was definitely the X factor this game. He had 29, 50% shooting with 6 threes. He was definitely balling out there. He was definitely well needed. Um, Karl Anthony Towns, he didn't have the worst game, but he ended the night with 14 points, 13 rebounds. Again, that's not the worst stat line that you could put up. Definitely out there with some efficient lineups. Definitely seen some foul trouble. He ended the night with 5 fouls, so that was definitely something to pay attention to. Jalen Brunson was definitely, he was, I wouldn't say inefficient, but it was definitely not his best performance in terms of shooting the basketball. He did have a chance to put the game away at the buzzer with the floater running left, but he did everything right. The move was perfectly done. It just rimmed out. So that was unfortunate, but they were able to get the job done in overtime. Josh Hart, with 14 points, 11 rebounds, he was definitely flying in out there, 5 for 9. Definitely a decent game for him. And Mitchell Robinson as well. He was definitely playing some good defense. 7 rebounds off the bench. And McBride was definitely huge as well. He was definitely getting some clutch time minutes. Boston was just unable to knock down a shot, and they shot 25% from the 3-point line versus the Knicks with almost 46. So it was just tough out there. Jason Tatum with 23. That's how many shots he also took as well. So poor night for him on the floor. Kristaps Porzingis, not really too sure. I'm gonna do my research really fast to see if he got injured. It seemed he only played 13 minutes. All right, I did my research, and Kristaps Porzingis was battling illness. That's something to pay attention to. That I've noticed that there have been, I would say maybe 3 or 4 players that have had some type of illness or some type of stomach-related issue into the playoffs. Just something that I find I'm noticing, so I just wanted to call it out. Drew Holiday had a great game for his return, for 16 points, but not the most efficient, especially from behind the arc. I know he was missing games with like a hamstring issue, so it's good to see him back on the floor. Derek White, again, just an effective basketball player. I'll always give Derek White his props. And Peyton Pritchard off the bench as well with 13. But Jaylen Brown's 23 and Jason Tatum's 23. They were kind of like the main focal point of the offense. Derek White and Drew Holiday helping, but it just wasn't enough to close out the deal. Kristaps Porzingis could have definitely helped him take it over the edge, but unfortunately he was unable to play. And he could have definitely made the difference for the game. So. It's a good series, and we saw Mikal Bridges with the game-winning steal. That was awesome. That was a great way to close out the game. So, running 15 minutes. It's 3 steals, the 1 clutch one. So it was definitely a great match. And like I said, I still have Boston winning this in about 6 or 7, but I definitely believe the New York Knicks will give the Celtics a run for their money. And I think I've heard conversations, and I kind of agree with the fact that if the Knicks can take down the former champions out of the East, they can easily make a run for the finals. And I don't want to like jinx anything. I don't want to speak too early on the series, but it's just the Knicks definitely are in the driver's seat. They stole the game away in Boston, so now the series is in their hands. They have to defend home court. And hopefully maybe steal another game on the road to put the pressure on. But let's really see. They could really flip the series. Let's really see what happens. This game 2 is actually really pivotal. If the Knicks could take out 2 games with the Celtics, they could definitely. I could see them making a finals run, making a good push to go to the finals. Out of the East, just with how a lot of these teams are starting to look with the competition of the playoffs and the lack of rest and just the atmosphere is starting to get to them. So it's definitely going to be a good couple of weeks. We're definitely going to be observing what we see. And, I just don't expect the Boston Celtics to shoot 25% from the 3-point line. That's actually something to pay attention to. And, let's see what happens if they run it back full roster. Hopefully Boston wakes up and they can defend their home court. And this is definitely going to be a series to pay attention to. It's definitely not going to be as lopsided as everyone's thinking it's going to be. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, next on the slate, Denver versus Oklahoma City. Now this game was definitely one for the ages as well. Like I said, the first round blessed us with some really really good basketball, and it was just one of those comeback victories that you know like playoff basketball. That's all I could really describe it as in one statement or one phrase. Um, Jokic had a monster game with 42, 22, 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists. It was definitely a little strange because in the first half it was looking like Denver was a little gassed, a little tired. Oklahoma City hadn't played in about a week because they handled their business with the Memphis Grizzlies pretty quickly, so they were sitting out just waiting for the opponent, whoever they were going to face. And it was definitely you can see that they were not even a step slow. They looked good in the first half. They were up by 10 going into halftime, and then Denver just slowly started chipping away. We saw Jokic. He definitely was really they were using the word animated, and it was I had never seen him in project himself in such a way where it was like, oh, I need to. He was actually like moving like a player coach, and it was good because, like I said, they had fired their head coach a few games before the playoffs, so they needed that leadership, that voice, and it was definitely something that you can attest to helping them get over that 10-point lead going in half. And it was just they closed out where they needed to, and again, Aaron Gordon being the hero to save the day with, it was they were the Thunder were up by double digits if I'm not wrong with 5 minutes left, but under 5 minutes left to go, and it was just a complete meltdown. Some poor coaching and some miscues. It just was Russell Westbrook with 18 off the bench. He's been having a great resurgence in his playoff career. He's definitely been a good playoff performer in his career, but especially after his stunt with Oklahoma City the first time, we definitely see like he'll always have a run where has like a stretch of good games, and he's definitely on a good tear right now. He had 18 off the bench, like we said, with 2 assists. One of his assists being the game-winning assist to Aaron Gordon with the game-winning three to close the game out. Let's take a look at Oklahoma City. They shot 31% from the three. Denver, I'm speaking of, compared to 35% from Oklahoma City. They had 20 points from Alex Caruso off the bench. He was definitely a defensive presence. He had 5 steals. Lou Dort with 14. He was hitting those shots that just like those that made the lead feel insurmountable at times. Shea 33 and 10 rebounds, 8 assists. A good stat line. Not too typical, not typical, but good numbers from Shea himself. Hartenstein with 12 and 9. It was definitely a well balanced act, but Oklahoma City was looking like one of the scariest teams I've ever seen in the first half. But again, they just slowly started melting down as the game came down, and it was down to some crucial, timely mistakes. And again, Aaron Gordon saved the day. Denver up 1 in the series. Them stealing a game at home definitely sways things. I believe I had Oklahoma City in 6 or 7, and I still do think Oklahoma City can take it over the top with this Denver team. I definitely do see Denver pushing them. This is a good matchup, and it's going to come down to the stars, like we said in the beginning. I think that was one of the main points I was honing in on, is that the stars of each team are going to have to step in and really perform. So, Jokic, again, 44 and 20, that crazy stat line. And yeah, it was just a good execution from Denver in crunch time, and a good way to secure the win. And we'll see how they not bounce back, but how they regain plan for game 2 and try to steal another game, or will Oklahoma City find the groove they're looking for and really get back to that dominant form. We'll see. This might be the same series as the Clippers for Denver, where they might have to push it to 7. So let's see if their magical run continues. All right, and the final game 1 of the round 2, the conference semifinals, was the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this game was is definitely a good show for the Golden State Warriors. The main key for this game was that Steph Curry he left with a hamstring injury in the middle of before the first half. It was he was definitely holding on to it for a few plays, and definitely he once he grabbed it and they said he ran straight to the locker room, like I knew he wasn't coming back out of there, and he was definitely done for the night. All the 7 games plus jumping right in 2 games later into a whole new series, new defense, new running, that definitely will put a strain on your body, especially as you get older as a person. So, um, yeah, he definitely was having a good night, on pace to have you know, a point per minute. So he was definitely scoring out there, 5 for 9 on the field. So he was definitely in store for a great match, but he did have to unfortunately exit the game. Buddy Hield stepped up. He was crazy out there. He 5 for 8 from 3. You know, he definitely woke up in the second half. He only had 2 points in the first half, and he definitely started playing his best basketball in the second. Um, yeah, Jimmy Butler still holding it on that dog mentality. There was times in the second half where I felt like he was being a little too passive, but you know that's these teams were feeling each other out. It was a key note that the Warriors. I did do the research. The Warriors did win the season series this year against the Timberwolves, but a key factor is that they had never played the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. Um, let me say that correctly. The Warriors won the season series 3-1, but they hadn't played the Timberwolves ever with Jimmy Butler on the Warriors roster. So they're really still kind of feeling each other out. Um, they haven't really had this team with any lineup like with Jimmy Butler involved. So having a game plan for Steph Curry is one thing, but to game plan for Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler is another. So um, it was definitely a slug match. It was really the Warriors got off to a good lead, and once Curry went out, it was really like, okay, like the Warriors were trying to like get out of there with the lead. They were holding on to 20 points and it was just dwindling at points. You saw the Nas Reed with, like, we can go ahead and take a look at Timberwolves as well. Julius Randle 18 points, McDaniels with 12. Anthony Edwards, he only had 1 point in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, and then he went off in the second half. Nas Reed with 19 off the bench. DiVincenzo, he only, pardon me, I know it says it only has 7, but he was definitely a key factor on defense, playing like just running out there, being a wing guy, just guarding anybody above the free throw line. So he was holding his own out there, and the Timberwolves could not knock down threes. They only hit 5 threes. The Warriors hit 18 of theirs. So like you could do the math. If you're not hitting threes, and the percentages speak for themselves. And Rudy Gobert, he had 9 points, 11 rebounds. He was becoming more of a factor in the second half, especially with like the offense of the Warriors starting to slow down. But yeah, it just wasn't enough, and Golden State was able to hold their own. And a key fact that I thought that was cool is that for every game one, the road team won every single game in round one. I thought that was a pretty cool factor for not factor, but a cool stat for the first game of the conference finals. And with that, I want to thank you so much for joining the Wave. It's going to be a great series. I can't wait to see you guys on the Game 2 videos. Peace out. Ciao. I'll see you guys then.